Do you ever feel a little bit nervous before you take a trip, wondering if you'll be safe? Join the club. It's normal. But with the travel security tips in this video, you can rest assured that you'll have a great time and you, and all your stuff, will return home safely. Oh, and these aren't all your average plain Jane travel security tips. For example, what's on this piece of paper could make or break your trip. I'll share with you how it saved my skin, kind of literally. As usual, let's dive right in. Tip number 1, use street sense. Some people call it common sense, but it's not common sense because it's not innate or natural, it's learned. But once you learn it, it just becomes a way of being. And practicing the next few tips will help you develop this street sense. Tip 2, don't look like a tourist. Unfortunately, looking and acting like a tourist will put a big target on your back, your easy prey. And in some places, especially if there's an economic disparity, being a tourist is a sign of wealth, which makes you even more of a target. The next few tips will get more specific about how you can not look like a tourist. Tip 3, don't look at maps in public. Luckily, these days, most people have maps on their phones, which are, well, a little bit more subtle. But if you're using a paper map, tourist! But if you must consult a map, even on your phone, get at least a little bit out of the public eye and keep it quick. Tip 4, act like you know where you're going, even if you don't. This is especially important in dodgy areas or if you have that feeling like you're being watched. Keep your head up, your shoulders back, and walk confidently to somewhere where you feel more secure about pulling out a map or asking for help. It helps to act like you know where you're going, even if you actually know where you're going. And you can increase the chances of that happening if you look at maps and you do a bit of research before you leave your accommodation. Tip 5, stay aware of your surroundings. This means not using noise-canceling headphones, or actually any headphones at all, if it means you can't hear what's going on around you. Besides which, you're traveling. Aren't you there to experience your destination? Then experience it. Tip 6, try to blend in. If you can, dress like the people around you are dressed. Don't have a big expensive camera around your neck. And practical as they may be, convertible pants, sorry, it's a personal vendetta against convertible pants. I apparently have unresolved trauma from having them when I started traveling full-time. I know I need help, but really? Convertible pants? I mean, oh, yeah, no. No. Tip 7, there's safety in numbers. Sure, in a crowd, you might be more susceptible to pickpockets and such, which is something we'll discuss in a bit. But I also have other videos on my channel about using anti-theft gear, which will protect you from that. By walking where people walk and staying with crowds, you're going to be less likely to be a victim of a more serious crime. Tip 8, skip the shortcut. Along the lines of safety in numbers, if you see a shortcut on a map or just in front of you, if a lot of people aren't taking that shortcut, there might be a good reason for that. A good rule of thumb is to simply make sure that wherever you are in view of other people. Tip number 9, stay in well-lit areas. I used to think it was a cliche that the bad guys are lurking in the shadows, but sometimes they really are. Again, in the spirit of staying in areas where other people are, if you're out at night, stick to streets and areas with good lighting. Tip 10, always carry your hotel's business card, or write down the address of your Airbnb and just keep it in your pocket. That way, even if you get lost, or your phone and or wallet is stolen, or you get into a taxi and they don't speak English, you can get back to where you're going very easily. Speaking of taxis, here is some taxi etiquette that I didn't know about before I started traveling. Lucky for me, nothing bad happened, but here's how to take the luck out of the travel equation. In tip number 11, take a picture of the taxi license plate and cab number before you get in. Not only can this help you report the cab and driver if something bad happens, but the driver is going to see you do this, and they'll realize it's not in their best interest to take you for a ride, so to speak. Tip number 12, if you have stuff in the trunk, wait for the driver to get out before you do. If you arrive at your destination and immediately get out of the cab, the driver could conceivably take off with your stuff in the trunk. On purpose or by mistake. If you're paying with cash, you can also wait to pay them until you're both out of the cab and you have your luggage. Me, I don't put stuff in the trunk at all unless I really need to. Tip 13, don't get into a taxi with more than one person in it. I've heard a few strange stories about sharing taxis with locals and the tourist ends up paying for the whole milk run. And I've heard a few horror stories that didn't end so well that I'll spare you from sharing. Tip 14, don't keep all your cash in your wallet. If I'm shopping in a marketplace, I'll just keep some small bills in my pocket so I don't need to pull out my wallet at all when I'm out buying stuff. That way, if a pickpocket has their eye on me, they won't actually know where my wallet is. And if my wallet does get stolen, at least they didn't get all my cash because I had some of that extra cash in my pocket. Tip number 15, consider a decoy wallet. Admittedly, I haven't done this, but if I were going somewhere notoriously unsafe where I had a higher chance of being robbed, I could have a decoy wallet with a few useless cards and some cash, and I could hand that over if I were robbed while keeping my real wallet safe. Tip number 16, at your hotel, don't use the clean my room sign. You're telling the whole world that you're out for the day. Instead, call down or stop by reception on your way out and ask for your room to be cleaned. Tip number 17, carry a rubber doorstop. This is another one that admittedly I don't actually do, but it makes a lot of sense, especially for solo female travelers. If you're staying in a hotel where the door doesn't close or lock properly and you feel insecure, a simple rubber doorstop on the inside will prevent anybody on the outside from getting in. Tip number 18, take pictures of all your ID, credit cards, etc. Keep these secured in the cloud. A lot of people say they just email themselves these copies of their ID, but email is notoriously insecure, and anybody who cracks your email just got a gold mine of information. So you can kiss your identity goodbye. Instead, I use LastPass. All I need to remember is one master password, and I have access to all of my documents, super secure passwords, and more. And I can share the master password with somebody at home for extra security in case something happens to me and I need their help. And as an online entrepreneur, I can also share online access to certain accounts with my employees without actually having to share my passwords. I love LastPass. Check the description for a link to LastPass. It's a total game changer. Tip number 19, speaking of online security, always use a VPN. Airports, hotels, and coffee shops are playgrounds for hackers. Even if the Wi-Fi connection has a password, anyone who has ever been on that Wi-Fi has access to your computer or phone while you're on that network, unless you're masking your IP with a VPN. I use NordVPN on all of my devices. One click and my online security is totally protected. It costs literally a couple of bucks a month, and it can save you a monumental amount of grief and money if something went wrong. Check the description with a link with a special deal. All right. You want to know what's on this piece of paper, don't you? First, if you've enjoyed this video so far, please like it and subscribe to my channel for more amazing travel tips and tricks to come. All right, here we go. Tip number 20, carry a photocopy of your passport at all times. Technically, foreigners are supposed to have their original passport with them 100% of the time. But honestly, I think it's safer and more practical to secure it at your accommodation and just carry a photocopy. Worst comes to worst, if you're stopped by an official, you can show the copy, and if they don't like that and they want to see the original, they can accompany you back to your hotel. But having this ID with you at all times is crucial. But we're not done. This last tip saved my skin. Tip number 21, write down your travel insurance information on your passport copy. You never know when something bad is going to happen, and you have to have this info on you at all times. I was in a car accident in the Caribbean and my phone was destroyed, so I couldn't access my insurance info on the phone. Luckily, I had my passport copy with the insurance company, the policy number, and the telephone number all written there on that piece of paper, and I could contact the insurance company immediately, which has to happen if you want to make a successful claim. I hope this video increases your confidence and your street sense so that on your next trip, you can have a great time and you can feel safe and secure. Check out the videos that show up on the next screen to discover some more travel tips and tricks to help you level up your travels. I'm Nora Dunn, aka the Professional Hobo. Ciao! With